I'll never forget the moment his hand wrapped around my throat, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to remind me who held all the power in that room. "Look into my eyes," he whispered, his British accent cutting through the silence like a blade. "And never betray me again." My mother was dying. I had 3 days to come up with £50,000 for her surgery, and I'd just made a deal with the devil himself, Damien Cross, the most feared man in London's underworld. This is the story of how I went from a nobody to the woman who brought a monster to his knees. 6 months ago, I was just Lily Bennett, a 24-year-old barista working double shifts at a cafe in Camden. Nothing special, nothing dangerous. Then Mum collapsed at the grocery store. Stage 4 cancer. Aggressive. Inoperable in the UK without private care that cost more than I'd make in 5 years. The NHS waiting list was 6 months long. The doctor gave her 3. I tried everything. Bank loans, denied. Crowdfunding, £2,000 raised out of £50,000 needed. I sold my car, my laptop, every piece of jewelry I owned. Still not even close. That's when my flatmate, Sarah, mentioned something over wine one night. "You know," she said carefully, "there are people in London who help with this sort of thing for a price." "Like a loan shark?" I asked, my stomach turning. She hesitated. "More like someone who can make things happen. But Lily, these aren't good people. They're dangerous." I should have walked away. I should have kept trying the legal routes. But when you're watching your mother fade away, you stop thinking clearly. You start thinking desperately. The address Sarah gave me led to a warehouse in Southwark. The kind of place that looks abandoned but isn't. The kind of place where people disappear. 2 men in black suits stopped me at the door, searched me, took my phone, led me through corridors that smelled like metal and fear. Then I saw him. Damien Cross sat behind a mahogany desk like a king on a throne. Mid-30s, sharp jawline, eyes the color of a winter storm. He wore a 3-piece suit that probably cost more than my mother's surgery, and when he looked at me, I felt like prey. "Miss Bennett," he said, his voice smooth as silk and twice as dangerous. "I hear you need money." I swallowed hard. £50,000 for my mother's surgery. I can pay you back whatever interest you want. I'll work for." "I don't need your money," he interrupted, leaning forward. "I need your skills." "My skills," I laughed bitterly. "I make coffee for a living." His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "You speak 5 languages. You have a photographic memory. And according to my sources, you're invisible. Nobody notices the pretty girl with the sad eyes." My blood ran cold. He'd researched me. "I have a job," he continued. "A simple courier assignment. You deliver 3 packages to 3 locations over 3 weeks. You don't open them. You don't ask questions. You do exactly as I say. In return, I'll pay for your mother's surgery in full, plus an additional £10,000 for her recovery care." It was too good to be true, which meant it was definitely illegal. "What's in the packages?" I whispered. His eyes darkened. "That's the first rule you've already broken. Don't ask questions." I should have run. I should have screamed. Instead, I heard myself say, "I'll do it." Damien stood, walking around the desk until he was close enough that I could smell his cologne, cedar and danger. "If you betray me," he said softly, "if you go to the police, if you open those packages, if you deviate from my instructions by even a single word, it won't just be you who pays. Do you understand?" I nodded, tears burning my eyes. "Say it," he commanded. "I understand." He pulled out a contract. I signed it with shaking hands, and just like that, I belonged to him. The first 2 deliveries went smoothly. A briefcase to a restaurant in Mayfair, an envelope to a lawyer's office in the city. Easy, simple. Mum's surgery was scheduled. The hospital confirmed payment. For the first time in months, I could breathe. Then came the 3rd delivery. The package was heavier this time, larger, and when I picked it up from Damien's warehouse, I saw something that made my heart stop, a small red stain seeping through the bottom corner of the brown paper wrapping. Blood. My hands trembled as I carried it to my car. Every instinct screamed at me to open it, to see what I was really transporting. Was it evidence? Weapons? Something worse? I thought about Mum, recovering in her hospital bed, finally smiling again. I thought about the 10,000 pounds that would cover her medications, her home care, her chance at life. But I also thought about the weight in my hands and the blood on my fingers. What if I was helping him hurt someone? At a red light, I made the worst decision of my life. I opened the package. Inside was a hard drive, documents, and a phone. But also photographs, terrible photographs of people I recognized from the news. Politicians, police officers, all compromised, all evidence of corruption that went straight to the top. This wasn't drugs or weapons. This was power, blackmail material worth millions. And I just contaminated it with my fingerprints. I delivered the package as instructed, but Damien knew. He always knew. That night, the two men in black suits appeared at my flat. They didn't say a word. They just brought me back to the warehouse. Back to him. Damien was furious. I'd never seen rage like that, cold and controlled and absolutely terrifying. "You opened it," he said, his voice deadly quiet. "I'm sorry, You opened it." Before I could react, his hand was around my throat, pressing me against the wall. Not choking, but dominating, owning. "Look into my eyes," he whispered, his face inches from mine, "and never betray me again." I stared into those winter storm eyes and saw something unexpected. Pain. "I trusted you," he said, and for a moment the mask slipped. "I helped you. Do you know what happens to people who betray me?" "Then why did you?" I choked out. "Help me, I mean, you're a criminal. You're supposed to be heartless. Why would someone like you pay for my mother's surgery?" His grip loosened. He stepped back, running a hand through his dark hair. "My mother died of cancer when I was 16, he said quietly. "We couldn't afford treatment. I watched her fade away, knowing that money, just fucking money, could have saved her. So I built an empire to make sure I'd never be powerless like that again." The revelation hit me like a truck. "You're not heartless," I whispered. "You're hurt." He laughed bitterly. "Don't romanticize me, Lily. I've done terrible things. I've hurt people. I'm exactly what you think I am." "Then why save my mum?" "Because I could," he said simply. "Because for once I could be the person I needed when I was 16. The confession hung between us like a bridge over an abyss. "The hard drive," I said suddenly. "That's evidence of police corruption, isn't it? You're trying to expose them." Damien's expression hardened. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, I do. Those photos, those documents, they prove that half of Scotland Yard is on someone's payroll. You're not the villain in this story, Damien. You're trying to bring down someone worse." He stared at me for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. "Commissioner Victor Harlow," he said. "He's been running London's underworld from behind a badge for 20 years. He killed my father, framed him for crimes he didn't commit, and had him murdered in prison. Everything I've built, every illegal thing I've done, has been to gather enough evidence to destroy him." "Then let me help," I said. "No. You paid for my mother's life. Let me repay that debt properly. I can be useful. You said it yourself, I'm invisible." Damien studied me with those piercing eyes. Then, against all logic, he agreed. Over the next 2 months, I became Damien's eyes and ears. I delivered messages, gathered information, and slowly, we built an airtight case against Harlow. But something else was building too, something neither of us expected. I saw the man beneath the monster, the boy who'd lost everything, the son who'd never stopped grieving, and he saw me, not as a pawn or an employee, but as someone who understood what it meant to fight for family. The night we finally delivered all the evidence to a journalist we could trust, Damien took me to the roof of his building. London sprawled below us, glittering and vast. "It's done," he said. "Harlow will be arrested by morning. Your debt is paid. You're free to go." I looked at him, really looked at him. "What if I don't want to go?" "Lily." "You saved my mum," I interrupted. You gave me hope when I had none. You showed me that people aren't just one thing, not all good, not all bad, just complicated. I'm dangerous, he said softly. I know. I've killed people. I know. You should be afraid of me. I stepped closer, closing the distance between us. I was afraid of losing my mother. I was afraid of being helpless. But I've never been afraid of you, not really. He cupped my face with surprising gentleness. You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the most foolish. Maybe both, I smiled. He kissed me then, on that rooftop, with all of London as our witness. That was 6 months ago. Commissioner Harlow is serving life in prison. Damien's name was cleared of several charges in exchange for his cooperation. He still operates in the gray areas of the law. I'm not naive enough to think he's gone completely legitimate, but he's trying. Mum is in remission. She asks about him every time I visit, with that knowing look mothers have. As for me, I'm no longer just a barista from Camden. I'm the woman who looked into the eyes of London's most dangerous man and saw someone worth saving. And maybe, just maybe, he saved me right back. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you'd do if you were in Lily's shoes. Would you have made the deal? Would you have opened the package? Tell me below.